and welcome to the City Show, and welcome to a new year. Thank goodness, 2021. On this week's show, we'll preview the upcoming gala for the Countryside YMCA. Before that, let's kick off the year talking with Jane Kahn and Chelsea, and they're here from the Abuse and Rape Crisis Center of Warren County. Jane, you're the executive director, and Chelsea fills in all the other gaps, helping you out. It's good to have a young person who knows about computers. And tell us about the ARC. And obviously this isn't the ARC, but ARC Abuse and Rape Crisis Center. How long has it been around?
We just finished up our 36th year. We're headed into our 37th year. It was founded back in 1984 when the Victims of Crime Act was signed by Ronald Reagan. And it's when a lot of domestic violence focused agencies sprung up all over the country.
Okay. And how did you get interested in this type of work? What brought you to this?
I had been working in the field of advocacy for quite a long time, and the opportunity actually opened itself for me to move over to the Abuse and Rape Crisis Shelter and be the director of their prevention initiatives. And I did that for 2.5 years, and actually stepped aside from that field of work, and a year later was called by the board president to see if I'd be interested in being the director, and the rest is history.
Yeah, I would think what you went through in the advocacy program would be perfect training. Can you tell us a little bit about that? Because that's a great program, and they do a great service too. So what did you do back there that prepared you for this?
Well, to be honest with you, the administrative part of what I do is a combination of my background in business, grant writing, I was a business owner, so understanding leadership, being able to facilitate and work with a large staff. We have 23 staff members at ARCS, 19 full-time. And so really it was a combination of many things that brought me together to be able to lead ARCS during this season of its history.
Did that kind of pull on the strings of your heart a little bit? Because this has got to be a hard issue. I mean, you're not doing this because you're being paid a lot of money. I would assume.
So social service is not a field you go into if you're interested in becoming wealthy. Yes, I kind of grew up in a home of very mission-focused work and ministry. And so it's kind of ingrained in me to want to spend my life's career doing things that are focused on making a very direct impact in helping other people. And so this field definitely lends itself to that. So it's not just domestic violence, but it's domestic violence. We work with whole families, sexual assault survivors, as well as trafficking.
Yeah, so what's the umbrella mission of your organization?
I'm glad you asked that, because so many people think of ARCS as being a and again, 37 years, and if you just walked up to somebody off the street, they'll be like, oh yeah, it's that battered women home, or something along that line, which always kind of strikes me, because battered women isn't a term that is used today much, but it's still part of the language of the general community. What we do is so much broader than what often people think of. We provide shelter care. We have a shelter in a confidential location. This year alone, because of COVID, we've had a 55% increase in the number of families that we have served. You know, for many back in March, when we got to kind of quarantine as if it was, you know, this gift from heaven.
A lot of tension.
It was hell, to be honest with you, for families living in domestic violence situations. And so we figured out ways to, if they couldn't come to us, we figured out ways to go to families. And I believe, did an excellent job of that. Chelsea was part of that campaign. And we reached a lot of families without them ever having to leave their homes. So we do provide shelter care for families with a family focus. We have a child advocate on staff and a full children's program. We also do hospital response. It's been pushed back because of COVID, but hospital advocacy for survivors of sexual assault.
Oh my.
We have a therapist on staff. We provide therapy. We also provide legal advocacy. That's a huge part of the work that we do. Common Pleas Court has been so gracious to offer us an office within the Common Pleas Court building. And we have a staff of 3 that work with individuals getting protection orders and assisting them through hearings related to that, child custody, child support.
So, and you said you have a staff of 27 or 29 people?
23,
23 people.
we're growing. But yes, so we have 19 full-time and 4 part-time staff members.
And how are they selected or drawn to? Because I imagine their skill set has to be really special because they're dealing with a variety of things. So how do you find these angels that work with you?
They are definitely angels. And so because of the spectrum of services that we offer, there's different skill sets and different educational backgrounds. We have staff members with masters in social work. We have licensed social workers. A lot of them come with maybe a background in criminal justice because they thought that was the path, and yet they found themselves really with a strong bent toward the advocacy piece of things. So those that work within our shelter definitely have a very defined skill set to be able to work in a residential setting 24/7 with a lot of times large families. We increased our capacity to 20 beds now. And it was 14 for many, many years. So
And you got to be quiet about where that is. That's
our shelter's in a confidential location,
That's
and that's
very
for
wise.
the safety and protection of the families that are there.
And speaking of your staff, and we have a special one over here, Chelsea. And
Yes.
Chelsea, you recruited her from Camp Joy, and I imagine you have to deal with some dark situations. So what better to recruit from Camp Joy? So tell us a little bit about your transition from Camp Joy and how the activities from Camp Joy prepared you for this.
Yeah. So I started at Camp Joy as a outdoor facilitator. So I was working with teens and young adults, doing high ropes courses, low ropes kind of things, like just team building. And I got involved with ARCS because they actually brought their Teen Alliance Council, who does a lot of initiatives in the community. They actually have high school teens from each high school in Warren County that come together to try to prevent teen dating violence and substance abuse prevention. So we actually partner with the Substance Abuse Prevention Coalition in Warren County. But so I met them and just talked to them, and the director of that program was interested in me and was like, have you ever thought about this kind of work before? And I hadn't really, but I dove right in, and I love it, and I've really learned a lot, and I've been through a lot of training since then.
You're touching people's lives. You're making a big difference.
Making a big
difference. So you mentioned service-based, probably from your parents. What's your background? What caused you to be such a nice human being?
Yeah, so it's kind of
Excuse me, coming out of COVID, I'm just kind of...
Yeah, there you go.
So my background is in fine arts, actually, which I know has nothing to do with facilitating, but I'm actually getting to use my art degree a lot in my current role. So I get to create a lot of things for social media and a lot of campaigns, and I get to kind of use that creative side again. So that's been really exciting.
Now, it seems like your organization has reached out to other organizations that might have people come to you. But aside from that, do most of your folks come from police agencies and court systems? Is that how they find out about you and are directed towards you?
There's a plethora of ways that people know about us. First of all, I did mention 37 years, so word of mouth is one thing. we have a wonderful working relationship with all Warren County Police Departments, and they respect the work we do. So if they're called out to an agency, or if they're called to a home to respond to domestic violence, they give them some information regarding us. We also get copies of police reports, so we're able to reach out as well. Domestic relation court is a huge way. Internet, Facebook. Other social media avenues, hospitals will refer to us as well.
You know, it's interesting. I think we're kind of conditioned to turn a cheek, look the other way, just be quiet about this, sweep things under the rug. Do you have people who are neighbors or family members who just are seeing things and just said enough and blow the whistle and try to help these folks? Do they come in, and if so, or how do they get? Do they reach out to you? And is there a number or a place that they can call to direct people to find you?
We have actually it's a national 800 number that people can call. And we get a lot of calls. That's 24/7. So we have somebody always ready to pick up the phone and provide advocacy, provide resources, do screening for intake into our shelter. So that is one way.
Well, you get a family uprooted, and now where do they go? How long do they typically stay within the shelter?
So to understand a little bit about the process, those that come into our shelter oftentimes live at or below poverty level. They have no other resources. They totally are left homeless because they decided to flee a domestic violence situation. We work with hundreds of other families that are dealing with domestic violence, but they didn't necessarily have to leave their marital home. They have family support, somebody else they can stay with. So the majority of the families that are staying in shelter come with a couple bags of goods. Wow. And once they exit after an average of 30, 45 days, one of the resources that we help connect them with is housing.
Good, yeah.
And then we partner with New Life Furniture Bank out of Hamilton County and help them get furnishings and home supplies. And then we have what's called an aftercare program. Imagine a lifetime of dysfunctional relationships and abuse. And after 30, 40 days, to be expected to have it all behind you and know how to live a very healthy, sustainable life. We know that that's not reality. So our aftercare program continues to work with families as long as they want us to be there. And it's kind of fun to watch them kind of fade on their own because they really don't need us anymore.
And what about educational opportunities for the folks involved?
I'm glad you brought that up because before you were saying about like your neighbors that maybe say something that they don't really realize is actually like promoting an abusive relationship. They don't like say something, right? So a whole other part of what the Abuse and Rape Crisis Shelter does is prevention work. So this is in high schools and junior highs and now the elementary school. And it really, really helps to educate kids starting when they start their dating relationships. Like, what does a healthy relationship look like? What does an abusive relationship look like? So they absolutely know. I think my friend might be in an abusive relationship and we give them some ways to help that person. We give them some ways to help themselves if they're in that situation. But we also talk to that person who might be doing some of those red flag behaviors towards their dating partner. So I think that that's a big piece of sexual violence and of the prevention of abusive relationships is the education and just making sure that everybody has the tools and then also knows who to call.
Sounds like a great program for the high schools. Do the high schools reach out to you or do you reach out to them? Because
so in Warren County, we're in almost all the high schools and we are in all the middle schools. And we have been doing that for probably almost 15 years. It's like healthy relationships, but it's also a lot of sexual assault prevention. So learning about the culture and things that we can do to be an active bystander, like anti-bullying things at the middle school level. We get really positive feedback from teachers, and we always do like a post-test, and kids actually say our class is fun, which I know is like, how could abusive relationships be fun? But
because you're a good teacher.
Yes, because we do it in a fun way that they would want to listen to us.
Okay, wow. Numbers-wise, how many women did your organization serve last year locally, or families?
So in 2020, I actually can give you some data there. We had over 100 families in our shelter.
Is that more than usual?
It is more than usual. Yes, it is. Our average is maybe about 65 families a year.
Is
And
that a
this year,
COVID spike?
it is definitely a COVID spike. And with the children, we had, I think it was around 168 human beings living in our shelter in 2020. We also saw a huge spike in those that we responded to through our legal advocacy division, over 400 individuals filing for protection orders and needing some assistance with the process of domestic relations court.
Okay. How is this funded? I mean, you got a big staff and a lot of needs.
So we are an independent nonprofit agency. Many think that we are a county agency because of our name, but
Forget the name. How about the need?
need. Let's talk about the need.
It's huge.
We are federal, state, local funded through grants. We also get money from our wonderful Warren County commissioners, marriage and divorce fees, block grants. And then we depend very much on our fundraising efforts and individual and corporate donations.
And last year, a fundraiser was probably affected?
That is one of the greatest impacts that COVID's had on nonprofit agencies. We are a very prudent and fiscally sound nonprofit. We've been really wise with our funding over the years. We were the recipient of some CARES Act funding, which helped close that gap. But we had a $90,000 net budget for our fundraising that we weren't able to meet without, since we were unable to have our annual gala.
So how are you planning on recovering from that? That's got to be difficult.
We're counting on local businesses and individuals to support our mission.
Okay. And how can our viewers support the gala and just what you guys are doing?
Well, first of all, we do a great job, and Chelsea's the leader in our social media, visuals and messaging that gets out. So definitely follow us on Facebook. That would be huge. We're in the process of redoing our website, but there's still a lot of good information there.
Okay, hold that thought. Chelsea, because I know you'll know it.
Yeah.
What is the Facebook? How do you get a hold of Facebook?
Yeah, so if you go on Facebook, we're Warren County ARCS, and the county's a CO, so Warren Co. ARCS. So follow us. You'll find out about new fundraisers that we're doing, ways that you can help. If you want to just do a PayPal donation right now, you can go to our website, which is www.arcshelter.com, and there's actually a Donate Now button in the corner. So that would be probably the best way to donate.
So many needs out there right now. Why should somebody support your organization?
That's a good question. I don't know if that's what we're going to end on, but thank you for asking that. ARCS, the Abuse and Rape Crisis Center of Warren County, is the only agency, or has been in 37 years, that provides the services that we provide to our community. We are the hub, we are the source for addressing unhealthy relationships with families throughout Warren County. And we can't do it without the support of other community members. And our mission is to provide safety, healing, and empowerment to survivors of sexual assault and domestic violence. Our vision is to see a healthy, violent-free community so that all community members can be live in a safe community. And it impacts us whether we think it does or not, it does. So I would ask all of Warren County community and Lebanon residents to invest in our mission to help create a healthy community for us all to live in.
Is there any particular story that just sticks with you in the last year or so of a family that has just been restored or just brought up, out of the muck and mire up to another level? And do any of these women come on board and say, "Hey, can we work with you?" Because you must have such an impact, and that's life changing. That affects people. Chelsea can probably relate to that.
We do intake and outtake. We try to measure our work, and so
obviously, don't tell me names because
I wouldn't do that. We have a strong oath of confidentiality. One that just comes to mind was actually recently brought to my attention. But a family during COVID had to come and live at our shelter, and one of the things that they're always surprised about is how lovely our shelter is. We've put a lot of work into making it clean, nicely furnished, a safe environment. It's just an environment of respect, and that's very foreign to some of these families.
Okay.
So we don't allow screaming and yelling, and we communicate through respectful tones. And so children feel extremely safe there. We have cupboards filled with food, our refrigerators filled with food. We have a staff member that cooks for the moms, just a little respite 2 days a week, and that's always a huge treat. So oftentimes when families leave, they're sad, like the kids are crying because this is as secure and safe as they have felt in a long time. And I mentioned that we help them get into housing, and then we have this aftercare program. Well, we recently got a video of a mom who had a lot of the giftedness, Chelsea, of just very creative, but that's been stifled over the years for her. And she took a video of her home and her children so happy, and she said, "Look what I've been able to do." And just some art pieces she created and hung in their new home, and she said, "There is absolutely no way I would be here today without your encouragement, without you providing a safe place of refuge for us and helping us get back on our feet." And that empowerment piece is so important to help me believe in myself again, that I'm worthy of not being abused. I'm worthy of being loved and cared for in a healthy way.
You'd almost wish that organizations like yours would shrink because there's no need, but the need's going to probably continue to grow. So with that, do you need more staff in order to meet the needs that might be growing? And how do you get more quality people like Chelsea?
Well, I will tell you right now, I'll do a little pitch.
Please.
We have an opening for a part-time therapist.
Okay.
We're looking for 24 hours a week, an LPC or an MSW with licensure.
Nice.
So if there's anyone out there that wants to work for a wonderful organization, our staff, I think, enjoy very much working at ARCS. We're kind of a family and a team driven by a common mission, but we are looking for a part-time therapist. We also have a very strong volunteer program, and you can get information about that on our website as well.
Beautiful. Hey, obviously you do a lot for ARC. Okay, how has ARC changed you?
ARCS is awesome. Like it's cool to see how we as an organization, every piece of our organization works together and is needed. Like so I used to do the prevention high school program that I was telling you guys about. And being in the schools, you are kind of a safe person that these kids get to know. And so they tell you things and they go home and they tell their parents things about what they're learning. And a cool thing that happened is while I was teaching, a high school student was telling their mom everything that they were learning. And because the mom kept hearing all these red flags like abuse, she realized I need to get out of my abusive relationship. And she called us and she got in therapy. And it's really cool to know the difference that ARCS is making.
Wow. Well, I appreciate the opportunity to get to meet you guys. Jane, is there anything else before we go that you'd like to share with our audience?
Just spread the word that who we are as an agency is here to make our community a healthier and safer place for all. We are a shelter, but we are also about a lot of education and the need for the community to be aware of and help us educate others on what it means to have a healthy relationship and to know the signs of an unhealthy relationship.
Yeah.
And we invite anyone to become a part and invest in our mission.
Yeah, well, that's well said. Ladies, thanks for being on the couch. We'll be back to talk about another fundraiser that you can actually attend right after this break.
Break your fast food habit at Kelly's Meats and Deli at 1001 West Main Street in Lebanon. Stop in for a quick lunch featuring made-to-order sandwiches, tasty sides, and mouth-watering daily specials. For dinner, Kelly's offers fresh-cut steaks, chops, and seafood, plus a variety of prepared dishes that only need to be reheated. You'll also find a large selection of high-quality wine and beer that can make any meal a special event. Kelly's Meats and Deli, open 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. Tuesday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Saturday, now open for dinner Saturdays 6 to 9 p.m. And remember, we cater too.
When it comes to healthcare, the most common question I get is, are you on our insurance? Well, we're probably not because we don't accept insurance, but our prices are extremely fair and you're going to get great care. So if your plan is to get great care, we are your plan. We offer chiropractic, fitness programs, massage, and clinical nutrition. So if you're sick and tired of being sick and tired, call our office, schedule for a free consultation so we can discuss any question you have and get you well.
Call now to schedule your free initial consultation.
Since 1954, Hardee's Interiors has been providing quality furnishings for homes in and around Lebanon, Ohio. Today, you'll still find quality antique and vintage furniture along with new made-in-America furniture of all styles. At Hardee's, you can create a mix of furniture and accessories that truly reflects your personality, all made to last a lifetime. Designers are welcome and so are you. Hardee's Interiors at 208.5 Wright Avenue or online at hardeesinteriors.com.
Today I'm going to talk to you about physics. Come on in, girls. Let's go. This is the first rocket to get humans to Mars. Really tall. I'm a rocket structural engineer, designing and building parts of the rocket. You are the generation that will be stepping foot on Mars. Do I have a group of astronauts on my hands? Yes. You can become a rocket scientist or whatever else you want to be.
Welcome back to the City Show. I'm joined by Anita Pelletier and Matt Burns from the Countryside YMCA. And you guys are here to talk about the upcoming gala, which helps support many of the free programs at the YMCA. Welcome back. You've been here before.
Yes.
Right? This year's gala's when and where?
It is February 27th,
Okay.
and it is back at the Manor House.
Okay. Is that where you had it last year?
Last year we had it at Great Wolf Lodge.
Okay.
So this year?
You snuck through last year. Can you tell us about that a little bit?
Yeah, actually, we had our gala on the Saturday before. Wow. Everything was shut down, yes. Wow. So we got it in.
Yeah, you had favor on that event. And was it a successful event?
It was. It was really great. It was something new. We had the 20s, Roaring 20s theme. So it was really great to see a lot of the participants dress up. So.
And what special accommodations are you making for this COVID era with this event? What kind of spacing or other changes have you had to make?
We've been pretty fortunate the fact that the Manor House has been working with us great. They've got a lot of space that they can spread us out. So I think they had informed us that as of right now, the maximum number they can have is 300 people. So we're hoping to get 300 people at our event. Have a good evening, but the rooms they have available for us, they've got a few extra rooms that probably we wouldn't have had, but they got the space for them, and There's about 3 different sections. There's an atrium, so we'll be able to spread everything out. We talked about some table seating that's a little different. So tables that may have had 10 at them will now have 8. Maybe the ones that had 8 will now have 6. So give everybody a little bit more space, plenty of space to walk around and look at auction items and those type of things. So
Did you have to consult with the Warren County Board of Health to put this stuff together as far as guidelines, or where did you get the guidelines from to follow?
we actually relied on the Manor House quite a bit.
Good.
Just so that they know from hosting other events, weddings and those different things. So that we've relied on them to keep up with those things. And we move forward like it's going to happen and everything's going to be perfect on that February 27th evening. But if changes come up, we'll adapt as we go.
Now you said 300 this year?
Correct.
Okay, how many did you have last year?
I'll let Anita answer that one since I wasn't here. But
I think we had close to 350.
Okay, so this isn't too much of a crunch. It hasn't hindered the ability to get people to come.
Right.
Yeah, that's good. Do they have to know each other to have that table? Are you selling tables, like a corporate table?
Sure, it's a little hybrid, a little combination of both. We have tables available. We have some sponsors that'll buy a table and have 8 people there. We have other people that come as individuals or couples, and we just kind of seat them accordingly. And if someone has if someone were to reach out to us and say, hey, we would like to come, but there's going to be 4 of us. Could we get a table of 4? Just because of COVID, we'd like to be by ourselves. We have the opportunity to accommodate those people at least to a certain number of tables. But
now, I think in the past, have you guys done the auction? I know a lot of the events do auctions.
Yes.
Are you still doing the auction?
Yep, we will have a silent auction and we'll also have a live auction.
Okay.
So hopefully the items will be spread out throughout the atrium and the 4 rooms that we have. And then we also, the availability to not come to the gala, you'll be able to bid on the auction items through our online system.
You know, when you first sat down, I thought you brought me flowers.
Nope.
It's actually a mask.
Yes, it's for...
There's a theme here.
Yes.
Tell us about the theme.
It is our magical masquerade.
Nice.
So we are definitely promoting masquerades for this year. So.
You know, you should have the COVID thing below that to modify.
You can have a whole facial mask too as well. And these are pictures from last year's, which was the Roaring 20s theme, which caught on really great. A lot of the participants definitely did help with dressing up, so it was really nice.
Now I imagine the food at the Manor House, they have that all taken care of. You don't have to cater things in. They take care of that.
correct.
Do you know what they're serving?
Our taste testing is in January, so we will definitely have that coming up.
Got a lot of good options for us. I'm like looking forward to the taste testing part of this. I'm like,
well done.
Yes,
So you're on that committee.
correct. Yes, we have a gala committee, and I mean, it's neat. You talked about the masks. They were, incorporating things like, well, what if COVID's still happening and we need to be cautious with masks and different things. Everybody, being cautious about those things, and they came up with the masquerades to kind of incorporate.
Perfect.
If people want covering, they can make that happen with their mask. So I was really, proud of the gala committee. I'm like, man, they're putting in some good ideas, which Anita leads that group, and she does a fantastic job. So
Now you're the new kid on the block, right?
I am. I'm the new kid on the block.
But you're. I mean, you got a good background. You've been involved with the Y for how long?
Yes, I've been with the YMCA for 24 years. Literally started as a program director the day after I graduated from Ohio State.
Wow.
And was a program director for about 3.5 years. Went on to be a CEO at a small independent YMCA, and then from there went to the Y of Central Ohio.
Okay.
So in Columbus area there, I was a regional district exec, so handled operations all of those years, and then about 2 years ago got into development. So I went from the operations side of things to the development, which is fundraising, community relations, and telling the Y story. So I've got the background to be able to do that. I love the Y so much that I know the good things that happen from us being able to raise funds, and it's certainly a passion of mine. So I'm blessed to have the opportunity to do that, and I've been at Countryside for about 4 months now, and have really found out about the foundation of the Y here. The strong founding fathers that put things together that are still beneficial to this day now. I've had a lot of great leadership along the way from what I can tell, and Chris Johnson's our CEO out there now.
Amazing guy.
The admin team is doing well, but I feel very good to be where I am. There's a lot of good things that are happening at this Y that tell me, man, this is the right place for me to be. So I feel blessed that my career has brought me on this path and got to be here.
So you've been around the block for a while. So
I have.
When you first came and saw the size of this YMCA, did it blow you away?
It did. It was like a campus. It doesn't look like a Y. Was fortunate enough to get to Delaware County, just
Okay.
above Columbus there, and was the first director at that YMCA, and that was 72,000 square feet. You walk in and a beautiful 2-story rock climbing wall and different things, and that blew me away. And I'm like, wait, how many square feet is this one in Countryside? And,
Amazing.
I got there and I'm just like, this is a campus.
Yeah.
There's just outside and inside. There's so many opportunities and amenities. Truly.
So you're primarily involved in the fundraising, increasing the awareness of what the Y does?
Yes.
Okay.
So my role is Chief Development Officer. So I work on community relations, like I said, trying to get out and tell the story of the Y.
Yeah.
Certainly garner some support for some of the initiatives that we do that do not reflect on operational dollars, if that makes sense. So operation-wise, we have a business plan that does well. Membership, programming, registration fees, those type of things, pay for those. Some things that we do is make sure that our opportunities are available for everybody. So one of the reasons, like we do the gala, is a fundraiser. We do a golf event.
A lot of free services at the Y.
Right.
Somebody's got to pay for it. Is that why we do the gala? Does it help pay for that?
Absolutely, absolutely. So over the course of the year, we want to make sure anybody that wants to come through the doors, if it's a family that's maybe in some financial hardship, anything, we try and remove any type of financial hurdle.
Wow.
So if anybody comes to us, says, my kid would like to swim, but we're not in a position to pay the registration fee for a swim lesson, we'll make sure we can work with them and make it happen. So that piece right there is kind of why I've stayed with a Y for 24 years.
You're like Santa Claus.
Yeah,
except without the belly.
I appreciate that. Yeah. But it's great to be part of it because you go home and it's a very rewarding job. And I mean, there's some days that are a little different than others, but for the most part, what the Y work does and the people that work at the Y and the members that come in, it's a beautiful, beautiful career I've had to be able to do those type of things. But
we're
the
glad
fundraising piece is great.
We're glad you're down here in Lebanon.
I appreciate that. Yeah, love being here. Love being here. But
so tell us about some of the free stuff that's offered to the community. Do they help feed children too? I think they had some program where at the YMCA as far as lunches and other ideas. What are some of the services that they provide?
Some of the things that we do, definitely we have an early learning literacy program through that. We also have Live Strong.
Okay.
And that's at both of our campuses, which is at here in Lebanon and also in Landon.
Yeah.
So that's definitely one of the ones that is growing tremendously too as well. We also have the water fit class on Saturdays for the arthritis water fit classes. I'm trying to think of the other.
Yeah, I mean, most of the initiatives are, like you said, they're at no cost to the participant. Like the Live Strong program is a great example that Anita brought up. And that one's for cancer survivors. So if someone has gone through the battle of cancer, we want to, again, remove any hurdles on the other end. So we don't have finances be a piece of it. We don't want anybody not to come to the program. So is it a 12-week long program, I think?
I believe so.
And there's about 10 participants in there, and we have a couple instructors that really work with them spiritually, mentally, and physically to get back to normal. What they would consider to be normal. And we've had some great testimonials from people that have gone through the class and just says, man, it's so good to feel normal again. And that's something I kind of take for granted. I wake up and most part feel normal every day.
Wow.
But people that have just gone through that big battle, for them to have this program, it really made a large impact on their lives after going through such a battle of cancer. So, and that's something that, like Anita said, we have that at both places in Landon and Lebanon. So those programs are great. But we want to make sure that, like I said, we have those opportunities available for them without the financial hurdle in there.
Now, after going through this COVID lockdown, I imagine a lot of people out there have cabin fever and
Yeah.
they're ready to get out. Are there many seats left? And how do they find out about it?
Yep.
Come
So
down and support.
yeah, kind of the strategy that Anita's put together with her committee, and I'm kind of just getting involved with now are, we work first with trying to get some sponsors and getting the word out. Kind of a save the date has already gone out, has the theme on it, those type of things. And then we will start in January as we get about 8 to 6 weeks away from the event. Then we will start finalizing getting seats and tables together and those type of things. But yes, people absolutely can still come at this point in time.
Now, sponsorship, different levels.
Yes.
Tell us about that.
Sure. Anita, you want that one? I'm trying to visualize the piece of paper, but I think there's 4 different levels.
Okay.
And it's...
Who are some of the big sponsors? Can we give them a shout out? Because
absolutely.
They do so much for the Y.
Absolutely.
And
We
in
have
turn for the community.
Absolutely.
Yes, we have some great partners for the Y. LCMB Bank, I know they get involved heavily with the gala and a lot of things that happen out there.
Yep.
IVC, Girdwood Orthodontics.
Okay.
Who else is on there? I know Premier Health.
Okay.
We share the building with them, so
Yeah.
great partnership with them.
GMI.
GMI.
Are you looking for
Shine.
more sponsors? And what
Always.
what do they get out of it as far as exposure? How do they get their name out there?
Sure.
seeing that they're
Anybody
aligned
that
with the Y?
helps us provide that Y service into the community, we're a 501c3, so we're
Yeah.
here to provide a service. Anybody that can help us do that, we certainly want to lift them up as partners to the Y. So there's recognition in the building, there's recognition on social media, and then that night,
Yeah.
we certainly have things on the table and kind of highlight them as people that helped us make this happen and have a successful event too.
So what's the range of sponsorship at the lowest level?
I think it
and
goes
going
from 1,500 up to 5,000.
That's
Okay.
correct.
Wow, wow, that's fantastic.
Yes.
Yeah.
Why should somebody support the YMCA by attending this gala?
Great question.
Yeah.
That's good. So obviously the initiatives that we talked about, those are things that the Y gets to do, but we only get to do them if we've got the resources to do them. So like I said, we don't really incorporate it into operations. Operations takes care of itself. These
Yeah.
are more initiatives that we want to make sure we are, as a YMCA, providing to the community.
Yeah.
It's just how do we take the needs in the community and make sure that we're walking the talk, so to speak,
Yeah.
and these are the ways that we do that. So for a partner to come in there and just have paralleling ideas of, hey, this is kind of supports our mission as well.
Yeah.
We're trying to better the community. We want people to have good quality of life. We want them to be physically fit, mentally and spiritually have those pieces available to them and resources
Yeah.
as well. So if they hear the Y does those things and have those things available to make the community better, that's usually how a conversation gets started and people say, oh, how can we be a part of this with you? How can we help out? What do you guys need? And that's where we get into the resources of, we have different events, the gala, the golf outing, and then we just we do an annual campaign every year that helps us. We raise roughly, I haven't been here this year, so correct me if I'm wrong, but I would say in the last 5 years, somewhere between $300,000 to $350,000 a year in our annual campaign, and that is all given out the following year.
Wow.
So whatever we raise, we're able to make sure we give that out the next year. So we're always looking to do more and see where the YMCA, the Countryside YMCA, can fit into the community and what other needs can we be a part of. I was coming down to look at this Y and see if this is where my career was going to bring me next. And I pull in and I see, is it Joshua's place? The YMCA was working with Joshua's place and making food distribution happen to people from...
It's out of South Lebanon,
yeah,
Joshua Place?
Yeah, because of the pandemic,
Yeah.
we're trying to make sure people had simple needs, just like
Right.
eating. And it's like, how can we help with those needs? So we want to make sure we're available to help with those needs and, at least have a seat at any table that's talking about a need in the community. We want to be able to be there and say, is there something we can do to help out with that?
Well, the Y definitely walks the walk. You can say mind, body, and spirit, but then you got to walk that out. And I think with
Correct.
the leadership that you guys have, you do a great job.
Yes, Chris kind of
Yeah.
leads that way, and it's
Yeah, he
it's
does.
great. It's a good place to be. I'm glad Countryside YMCA, sticks a stake in the ground as far as Christian principles. That's the C in YMCA, and very very strong on that there, and it's just it shows.
Yeah, well said, Matt. Yeah. Anita, did we miss anything? Is there anything else you'd like to shout out? We have the event. The date is when? The gala?
February 27th.
Okay, and if they want to get tickets?
They can go to our website
Okay.
and it will link right to the gala, and they can also, tickets are $85 for an individual or $160 for a couple.
Okay, that's
And don't forget your mask.
yeah, I'm telling you, that's the entertainment. Get to see people with masks on. Where in the world can you go to see someone with a mask on nowadays?
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
Well, thanks, guys, for what you do.
We appreciate the
Yes,
time.
definitely.
It's a
Thank
pleasure
you.
being here. Thank you very much.
Good luck on your gala.
Thank you.
We'll be back to wrap up the show right after this break.
Bob Pulte Chevrolet always gives you the best. Best price guaranteed. Best trade-in value. Best selection. Best financing on all new and pre-owned vehicles. See for yourself at bobpulte.com. And you'll love the Pulte price.
You told me not to talk to strangers. You told me not to cross the street without looking both ways.
You told me not to touch the stove.
You told me not to do drugs.
You told me not to drink and drive.
You gave me so many messages about how to stay safe.
Why didn't you keep me safe by properly storing your gun?
So there you are, shuffling through a stack of resumes, and you come to mine. This is it, first impression, my way in. But can my resume show you how I truly stand out? Like that I was studying, going to night school while working 2 jobs just to help my parents pay for groceries. Or being the first one to always step up. No, that's something you just can't put on paper. Look beyond the resume and discover new ways to develop great talent that is dedicated, hardworking, and determined like me.
Sure, I look cute now, but when my owner lost his job, it was rough. I was living on the street, and one night, me and this Cocker Spaniel got into it so bad, I wound up looking like an ice cream cone. I cried a little bit, but thankfully I got rescued, so I'm running, I'm jumping, all back to my old self, and I'm ready to give unconditional love, even if you put a lampshade on my head.
Bob Pulte Chevrolet always gives you the best. Best price, guaranteed. Best trade-in value. Best selection. Best financing on all new and pre-owned vehicles. See for yourself at bobpulte.com. And you'll love the Pulte price.
Well, that's our show for this week. I want to let everyone know that the Martin Luther King Jr. celebration that has taken place for the past 35 years is still going to be taking place, but it's going to be virtually in 2021 on Monday, January 18th at 7 p.m. on the MLK Community Coalition Facebook page and webpage at mlklebanon.org. You'll be able to see their program, including the announcement of the Drum Majors of Service Awards winners, along with music and prayer for our city and our nation. Thanks for watching. We'll be back with you on January 19th with an all-new program. Until then, Happy New Year.